Hello, this is Yogeshwar, and I am once again here to discuss about the Saturn transit 2014. In our earlier videos, we did discuss about the effects of Saturn transit, which is happening in November of 2014 for the zodiac signs of Aries through Leo, both the moon signs as well as the ascendants. And this video will discuss about the effects of Saturn transit 2014 for about 2.5 years for people with the zodiac sign of Virgo as an ascendant and as a moon sign. As I've already discussed in my previous videos, as per the Shastras, as per the Vedic scriptures, the transits should be considered only through moon signs. However, recent astrological research have shown that yes, it makes a lot of sense to look at a transit also from the ascendant. So I will recommend people with the ascendant of Virgo and with the moon sign of Virgo, both should look at this video and see the effects of Saturn transit. And once again, it'll make more sense for people with the moon sign of Virgo rather than the ascendant, but both should watch it. Now, people who are not familiar with what a moon sign is, look at your birth chart, your natal chart, your Rashi chart, whatever you may call it, or your Lagna chart. And if you see your moon placed in Virgo, which is number 6, that means your moon sign is Virgo. And of course, the ascendant, as you can see on the screen, if your ascendant is Virgo, the number 6 will appear on the topmost house, or that topmost diamond square which you see on the screen. So this is for people who are not very familiar with astrology. I'm pretty sure people do understand what a moon sign and what an ascendant is. So the good news for people with the ascendant, actually the moon sign of Virgo, is that they had been going through a Sati, which is actually a 7.5 year period of Saturn, which according to the scriptures comes in when Saturn is 12th from the moon sign, first from the moon sign, meaning which it's sitting in the moon sign, and the second from the moon sign. So that is a 2.5 year period per the zodiac sign, which is the 12th from the moon sign, and the second from the moon, 2.5 period of each zodiac sign, total adding up to 7.5 years. And this is a very, very dreaded period of time as per the Vedic scriptures, because it is believed that Saturn, whenever it goes through a Sati, or whenever it comes in these 3 consecutive zodiac signs, 12th, the first and the second from the moon sign, it creates havoc in somebody's life. It creates all kinds of problems. And of course, we'll have another video which will discuss more in detail about how a Sati or a 7.5 year period of Saturn affects. It's not a very general rule. It depends based on the zodiac signs. However, today we are discussing about Virgo moon sign and how this transit of Saturn, which is happening on November the 2nd, 2014, is going to relieve people of the moon sign of Virgo from its 7.5 year period. So congratulations. People with the moon sign of Virgo have suffered a lot in the last 7.5 years. And now they will be relieved because it's moving out of their second house from the moon and moving into the third house from the moon, which is actually a good house. And as per nature, even nature, there is a day after night and there is a night after day. So this is some kind of an awakening in terms of a good news from a dark spell of 7.5 years of Saturn transit into these 3 zodiac signs. And while Saturn moves from the sign of Libra into the Scorpio, people with the moon sign of Virgo will have a sigh of relief. Now, as far as the transit goes, the 3rd house from the moon and 3rd house from the ascendant, like I said, should also be considered along with the moon sign. it will be a very good period for both the moon sign of Virgo and also for the ascendant of Virgo, because third house Saturn is pretty much a positive as per the Vedic scriptures, ancient scriptures. The ancient Maharishis have explained that the third house Saturn is actually rather good, even in a transit, also even in a natal chart. So even in a transit, it's considered to be good. So it will be a good period for people with Virgo ascendant and the moon sign. Once again, like I said, more so in the case of the moon sign of Virgo rather than the ascendant, if you make a comparison. And then if you look at the aspect of Saturn, the third house aspect will fall into the fifth house, which may create some kind of a challenge, because the fifth house Saturn creates problems related to children, also recreational activities, fun, all kinds of activities, social activities, vacations, so on and so forth. So there may be a challenge, a slight challenge on that front. As far as the seventh aspect of Saturn is concerned, from the third house, it will look directly at the ninth house, which again may be slightly challenging in terms of higher education, in terms of father. Be very careful on the health of the father, relationships with the father, and also for general luck purposes. And then another aspect, the 10th house aspect from the third house, will fall on the 12th house. And the 12th house Saturn again can give some kinds of problems. However, from the point of view of moksha, it is a positive thing. So not completely negative, but 12th house Saturn, it can become challenging at times as well. So this was the effect of Saturn when Saturn moves for 2.5 years into the zodiac sign of Scorpio from the zodiac sign of Libra. And this will be the effect felt by people of the Virgo ascendant and the Virgo moon sign, and more so related to the moon sign, because once again I'm repeating and repeating again, look at it from the moon sign, not from the ascendant. But yet as people with the ascendant of Virgo also should look at it, because there will be slight effects of this Saturn transit, and this video will explain them, what kind of an effect will be felt by this transit of Saturn into Scorpio. Now also, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, that one need not worry about the negative aspects, because sometimes the negative aspects can be nullified or neutralized by some positive transits which are happening in somebody's chart. So for example, in this case where Virgo is the moon sign or the ascendant, and the third house Saturn will be positive. However, the aspects may be slightly negative, but do not worry too much about it. But because there may be certain other planets, positive planets, which also may be transiting, which may neutralize the negative effects. And like I said, Saturn's transit will be extremely good. The third house Saturn is good, but then Saturn being a malefic, and because of its drishti or aspect, is not 100% good. So it will be a mix of good and bad, as we have experienced based on our karma, which we carry on in our lives from our past lives, and also as we move along in this life and start creating karma on and on as we move along in this life. So Saturn actually comes as a blessing. It gives us rewards for our good deeds, punishment for our bad deeds. So transits generally for most of the signs are a mix of good and bad. And also do not forget that you may be running a dasha or a main period or a sub period or a pratyanta dasha or a sub period, which is an sub period would be the antardasha, and the sub period will be the pratyanta dasha. So you may be running any of these main period, sub period, and sub period, meaning which dasha Antardasha and Pratyantardasha, which may be positive or negative. So it'll be a mixed bag. So not every period will be completely bad. So this 2.5 year period will not be completely bad or completely good. But yes, once again, the good news is people with the ascendant, or rather people with the moon sign of Virgo, have come out of this Sade Sati, which is the 7.5 years of Saturn transit, which is the dreaded period, and they're moving into a positive direction. So congratulations once again on them. And also do not forget to do your remedies, because no matter how much positive Saturn, once again I'm saying Saturn may give you a positive effect sitting in the third house from the moon or from the ascendant. However, it has its aspects, and Saturn's aspects are not positive most of the times. Drishti of Saturn or aspect of Saturn is generally challenging. So do your remedies. I mean, there may be astrologers out there who will say, well, okay, well, for people with the moon sign of Virgo, it will be a great period because Saturn is moving out of its Sade Sati, and also it'll be moving into the third house, so everything will be hunky-dory. No, it will not be, because there will be an aspect on other houses, and Saturn, like I said, once again gives rewards and punishments. The rewards may be more, yes, in this case for people with Virgo ascendant and Virgo moon sign. However, there may be certain punishments as well. So do not forget your remedies. Go to an expert Vedic astrologer and get remedies done, and generally it will be good. And try to match it with what kind of dasha or main period or sub period or antardasha you're running, and what kind of other transits you're experiencing related to other planets, and then come to a final conclusion as to what the effect will be in the next 2.5 years, starting from November the 2nd, 2014. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I will be back with another interesting video in my next session. In the meanwhile, I'll recommend check out my website. There is a link below, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.